And we're live! Hi!
Hello.
Happy Monday, friends. Kari, you look adorable with your little pom-pom headphones.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us. The Dungeon Cooldown. You got me and Kari Lee today. We got a lot to talk about. We got a few questions, but we also, we had a For the Queen game last week. We had all kinds of stuff going on before this week's new episode. Tiny Misfortune, City Racing Girl, Rabbit Attack Go, Gateway Guy, Angel Devil said it's good to see you all. City Racing Girl was at Gen Con this weekend, and I've seen photos of her now with Josephine. Yay!
Yeah.
That was so nice to see. And I know Dungeon Speedrun, I think, was there too, though I don't know if you guys got to say hi. But
how was Gen Con, City Racing Girl?
I know. All the photos of it look
Dungeon Speedrun.
bonkers. City Racing Girl says very cool. Yes.
Were you guys behind? Were you behind the heist?
Oh, that's all right. We were laughing. It was very serious business, but we were very impressed and wowed by the story of, I don't know if you heard about, someone stole $100,000 worth of trading cards at Gen Con, or was it even more than that? Wow.
I don't know. It was a lot. It was like at least one huge pallet,
That's
right?
a nerd heist to end all nerd heists. City Racing Girl says, no heist for me. That's exactly what you would say if you had done it.
Yes. So
the cops are on their way. Just kidding. Dungeon Speedrun is here. It says it wasn't me either. All right, fine. But no, I hope you all had fun. It warms my heart to see you all being in the same place together. That's so fun, and we'll definitely want to do more stuff like that in the future. But it's good to see everybody. I just had an amazing Patreon exclusive game yesterday.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about T-Swift.
T-Swift, we're getting there. By the way,
Okay.
half the show's gonna be talking about my Taylor Swift experience on Friday. Folks, get ready. No, but first, patreon.com/thedungeonrun. We love you, patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the show. The show could not happen without you. And as one of our higher tier rewards, yesterday I hosted a game for Just Jules, for Kitty Scritches, for Braba, and for Jim Witted. We had an excellent session yesterday. There was more combat than I expected, but a really fascinating session. I mentioned this in the Discord after the fact, where it felt like it was the episode where all the cute characters got together and then suddenly they were all fighting for their lives. And it was like kind of all the cute characters are forced to the front lines in a really scary way, which maybe it was always going to happen and I just didn't realize it until we were mid-session, and like I've got this really nasty guard hitting Just Jules's adorable character over and over. I'm like, oh, this is rough.
Wait, did you say that this was in person this week?
No. This was over.
Oh, okay. I thought you had said something about a couple people traveling from the UK.
No.
Maybe they weren't traveling.
Not traveling. It was across many time zones though, because we're in California. Just Jules and Kitty Scritches, I know, are both on the east. I don't know if it's the East Coast or more towards the east of the US. And then both Braba and Jim Witted were coming in from the UK. Hey, Sierra Cool Bunny VR Chad, welcome. But yeah, it was an awesome game and so much fun. That we always have so much fun in those games. So check out patreon.com/thedungeonrun. By the way, something else we just put up today, we're releasing, so this will lead us to, we played For the Queen last week in a really fun out there. First time most of us had played that game. It was a really fun time. Really get to play with you, Kari, and Adam. Also, Katie Michaels and Jessica Lynn Parsons. We love you so much. So happy to have you back at the table. And for the first time, Omar Najam, who's the best. We love Omar. He's a fan of the show, but we also love him. He's amazing, and hope to have him back soon. We'll see about that.
Yeah, Omar was an absolute treasure and a dream to be at the table with. It was so great.
But so I was going to say the VOD of that is currently exclusive to Twitch subscribers, but also to Patreon subscribers. We'll release it on our YouTube later on, but for now, the only way you can see those is by being a patron of $5 or more. We also just put out the podcast version on Patreon, because Patreon's gotten a little better with their audio stuff. So we just released the audio file so you could listen to it as a podcast if you like. So yeah, we're going to try some more stuff like that coming up. So be on the lookout for that. Boy, there's more that I'm sure we'll get to. But first off, so Taylor Swift. Okay.
But first, Taylor Swift.
Yes, I got to see the Taylor Swift Eras Tour on Friday.
So jealous. I'm so jealous.
It was bonkers. It was a totally well, and we ended up with really crazy seats, and that only happened. That only happened because one of the third-party ticket sites royally screwed up, and it was an hour before the show, and we still didn't have our tickets. And excuse me, my allergies are bothering me. There, I thought I was gonna sneeze. Not gonna happen. Sorry.
Bless you.
Apologies. Cover your mouth, folks. But yes, Taylor Swift. So they screwed up in an hour before the show. We did not have our tickets, and then so at the last minute, we still didn't have them. So at the last minute, they like literally hour before the show starts, they're like, "Here, pick from these substitute seats." And we were like,
I mean, did this happen to a lot of people, you think, or just like?
I don't know.
I mean, that would be a lot of seats to make up for.
Really, and it was really like, whoa, there. And it was, if you could tell from my photos, we were pretty far from the main stage, but there is a secondary stage that we were happened to be right next to, pretty much, and that was nuts. It was incredible. I'm a casual Taylor Swift enjoyer. I'm not.
I'm a really big fan.
Carrie's a hardcore Swiftie, so if you can feel the jealousy coming through the screen, it's real.
I'm like, tell me all about it.
But I only knew like half the songs. But what a show! It was over 3 hours. That's no joke. Like, really, just as a performer, I was so impressed that she took the stage at 8:15. She wasn't done till past 11:30. And she does that 3 nights in a row. And yeah, and they're without a really, like, there's costume changes, and there's like minute long breaks built in. But wow.
She's a professional. She's professional.
I mean, beyond that, I mean, like, professional is one thing. This was I was really just the stamina that must take. The fact that she did that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then took a day off, and then I think is back at it tonight. That's crazy. I
mean, I'm from musical theater, so to me, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, but it's really like, it's that if you're like, what's like a massive musical theater role where you're on the whole time? Like
Cats.
Yeah, but like on singing your heart out the whole time for like as the lead. I mean, yes, Cats. I guess you never leave the stage. That is true.
There are lots of musicals like that.
There are. No, I know there are. But literally, like the 3-hour version of that where you don't leave, it's a dang. I was very impressed.
It's legitimately like
sure.
Hamilton.
That's true.
Like,
yeah,
it's all of them. I mean,
it's Hamilton. No, yeah, it literally.
If
you're Alexander Hamilton doing that 8 shows a week or something like that, it's basically a version of that. But also just the overall spectacle of it was really. I mean, I'm such a geek. I was nerding out about their cameras and the resolution and the visuals they were having. I was like, that camera looks like a close-up, but it's got to be 200 feet behind me. How are they getting that angle? You know, like stuff like that. I was blown away.
It looked like it was an exceptional, like, multimedia
insane
version of
Absolutely
a show, so
bonkers.
that all of her fans, no matter where they were sitting, could see her and felt a part of the concert. Versus like some concerts you go to and there's like one jumbotron on each side, and it's sort of not very clear.
Right. No,
I don't know.
The resolution of the screens and back was like nothing I've ever seen, and it was massive and done so well.
What's with the bracelets? Okay, I've been seeing a lot of people with these amazing.
I am not the
like,
person.
Beaded bracelets.
As I understand it, they are beaded, and there's turned out to be an audience thing where they are trading it with each other. That was not.
Oh, I love.
We did have bracelets. Both Crystal and I did not trade with anybody, but it was going on apparently a little bit. So I am not the person to speak to for all those details, but there is very much a girl energy of trading like beaded friendship bracelets in the crowd. For sure. And they give you a bracelet when you arrive. It doesn't
just have to be a girl thing.
I was wearing a couple. I'm not here to say that it was. I'm just saying that, like, I don't know. Again, I'm not full up on the details. My TikTok is not completely swathed in Taylor Swift like I know some people says. Chafrika says Swifties have co-opted rave culture. Perhaps. A little bit. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. If you can get to see it, do. But I know tickets are bonkers, as I said. But what an amazing time. So that's our Taylor Swift. That's mine and Kari's Taylor Swift minute.
I love
it. Okay, gosh, we have questions from the patrons, and they're still. I mean, we're still reeling from all that happened. Gosh, almost 2 weeks ago now, with the amazing last episode that ended in this very seemingly out of nowhere one shot with these characters. We have a question about that, so I want to get into this a little bit. From Rabbit, this one comes from Brian Hughes on our Patreon. Kari, did you and Serena talk about the twin characters much before? It was so fun, but I could not tell if it was 100% improv or just a lot of improv.
It was definitely like close to 100% improv. The things that we decided ahead of time were that we were twin
barbarians,
that we thought that we were super hot, that we were barbarians, and that we didn't suffer impoliteness, which hasn't really come into play yet because it was mostly family stuff, and it was kind of interesting because we had decided that was when we would probably rage, go into frenzy, like when
good to know.
We see people being impolite. But with family, it's really weird because people can be kind of impolite and you're not going to... I don't know.
You're more used to it. You know, your rage level is a little lower. Yeah.
Well, we were kind of feeling it out when we were at the table, and I could tell both of us were like, this just wouldn't be the right time to like...
You're checking in with each other.
Jump into a frenzy, you know?
Makes sense. You got to be selective with your rage. Hey, Brianna, how are you? Yeah, to let people in a little bit, Ron didn't give us much context, but he told us, hey, he told us to create 5th level characters with a few days before the episode. He was basically like, hey, create 5th level characters you are going to kind of, that you will want to play next episode for this little bit. And sort of, he let us know that it was going to be similar to how we did Visions in Campaign 1, where it was sort of like, your character, you know, Coco, Val, Otto, Cristobal, and Rillian will be in the back of their heads somewhere, but watching it through the eyes of these new people. So Ron, that was basically all Ron gave us, and he told us like level 5. I think we're level 5.
Yeah, so we don't even really know, to be honest, like how it's going to play out in this next. So that was like a half shot, so we got like another full shot.
Yes.
So 1.5 shots.
Yeah, it's a 1.5 shot. We still don't know, right? We know. I mean, we've been told like the ley lines and magic is being weird, so I think we can guess it probably has something to deal with that. But how it's going to connect to the overall story yet is still lost on us. But we as a group, very serious performers that we are, took that and took it and went, all right. Like literally just basically
we just decided the relationship. So we were like,
we decided the relationship we decided to be a family first, and then Josephine we were trying to figure it out, and there was like, wait, what was I gonna be? We decided the 3 of you, Josephine, Serena, and you would be sisters. And then I was like, so am I the brother or am I married to one of you? And then it just sort of made sense that it was like, oh, wait, you're Josephine's like husband. It was like, okay, great. This is great. So I'm like the normal husband in the chaotic family. I can play this. No problem. Yes. Yeah, Dungeon Speedrun says that feeling when the DM tells you to roll up some new characters to bring this week. Yeah. Still don't know where exactly this is going, but stay tuned, because
I hope that was fun and will be continued to be fun for this next, full part of the one shot. Like, I hope it'll be fun for the audience because I know it was chaotic.
It was chaotic. Well, and we were also very tired after the first half of the episode.
So tired.
So even it was chaotic anyway, and then you had our energy to it, where we'd had this very emotional first half, where we were just silly for the second half. I don't know exactly where it's going. I won't pretend that I do, but I have an inkling that some of the connections, that there's going to be some big connections coming once we find out what's going on in that town. Also, oh gosh, I should have looked this up. I didn't. There was that coded phrase that the person was yelling at us as we arrived at the very end. I really haven't had time to look at that.
Oh,
it sounded like gibberish.
Was Ron going to send that to us?
Maybe, but I can probably... I mean, it's pretty short. I can probably just go back and pull it. If someone happens to have it off the top of your heads, let us know and let's look at it. But I think there's some revelations coming there that have not yet brought themselves to light, so to speak. Fascinating. So yes, the relationships, besides just the very basic, a lot of it was improvised. Adam did let me know, I think my character's gonna dislike you, and I was like, okay. I can get past that.
Well, and Serena and I, Jeremy and Learmy, definitely, we were like, we so wanted Morgan to be our stepdad because like our parents are dead, but I think that still kind of works even though he's like brother-in-law.
Yeah, he's the adult like, brother-in-law kind of.
He's the adult brother-in-law, and he's probably been around, a lot since our parents have died or wherever they are, and then so I think he's kind of been a weird stepdad.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But then also, like, being the balancing for his wife, who is the older sister of these two, these two very, very eccentric twin barbarians.
We were so excited to, like, find a wig that would make us look like Josephine.
Where did the wig... I didn't hear that part. That's incredible.
Well, because we were like, we want to be siblings, but then both Serena and I are like, oh my gosh, we are gonna look awful in this, like the blonde wig. So we ordered a bunch, but those were the only ones that arrived in time. So we were like, okay, this is it. I think we kind of looked more like aunties.
It was giving anime boy energy.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect.
It was giving Naruto or like something similar to that. Am I alone on that one? I was watching one of the clips. I was like, the way it's sitting on Serena's head definitely makes her look like a Dragon Ball Z character.
Yeah, I think that's what we wanted, like anime boy, kind of,
yes,
but like BOI, kind of like
vibes. Anime BOI, yes. Dungeon Speedrun says Mad TV's Stewart. Oh God, I know that reference. I don't know if other people get that reference. That is.
I want it.
Oh man, I haven't thought about Stewart in forever. Yeah. Not a Gridville says it was giving Jeremy Laramie energy, to be honest.
Hello.
Look what I could do. Oh,
yeah.
Wow, yikes. That was the other thing I loved, by the way, don't get it twisted. It's not Jeremy and Laramie, it's Jeremy and Laramie. I typed it out for the captions on the clips, and I was like, just make sure this is how we spell it, okay.
Yeah.
Incredible. Kitty Scritches for sure thought anime was the intent. Yeah, it's definitely how it looked. Happy accidents with wigs, as will happen sometimes. So much else happened, though. I mean, we talked about this on the short rest, by the way, patreon.com/adungeonrun. Get those short rests. We have so much fun with them, and we're happy that you guys like them so much. But just so much happened in the first half between the characters, and everybody kind of got their own little one-on-one time, which was really fascinating in a way. And we have a question from Rabbit Attack Goat about you and Rillian, about Coco and Rillian together. And that was, I mean, so we were covering our ears. I could hear a little bit, but honestly, like as I was rewatching part of the episode, and I got into that section a little bit, and I didn't spoil anything for myself, but it was a little bit like, oh yeah, what I could already tell is like, oh, I did not hear this part at all. Even just the act of trying to cover your ears distracted me enough, but I think
you guys were so funny, just physically looking at everybody being like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear it. It was just funny.
I loved it. I loved the impromptu secret room. Taking you both into the secret room that way would have been difficult. So it was just all right, we're just covering our ears, I guess. I should probably bring we should bring headphones or something like that and just go da 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 da. Yeah. I think wasn't there one point during the scene where Adam was literally humming loudly to himself.
Yeah, and we're like, Adam.
Be quiet. He's like, sorry, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Oh God. Not a Gridville says it was like past 6 a.m. over here when the camera cut to the twins and I just about lost it. I know that Sean held that reveal on YouTube for as long as possible intentionally. He was literally like, I'm not going to cut to them until,
it was so bad
they're
that
ready.
We could not stop laughing. I know you guys could hear us laugh. We were just like, we were so loopy at that point.
Yeah, we were like, loopy.
We also wanted it to be such a surprise for Josephine. So it's just fun. fun. I'm glad it surprised people.
I think I was sitting at the table during most of intermission, and you all went back to the green room and came back out looking like that, and I was like, oh no. Oh boy.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Incredible. But the question from Rabbit Attack Code specifically about this section was it Great 101 between Coco and Rillian in the last episode. What's going on inside Coco's head after traveling with them in the City of Glass and finding out more scraps of information about them? How is Coco feeling about Yuri, Rillian, Rhea in general right now? Are you a little more secure, or is it still so up in the air for you?
I think how Coco has that in and out of like memory, almost like these little memory lapses. So I think like overall hasn't really trusted Rhea, but has wanted to. I don't know if I'm a little, I may be a little bit like that in real life, right?
I get that. No, and
oh,
I think
you haven't hurt me. Everything's fine. Hi, are we friends? And then all of a sudden it's like, what? And then you're like, oh wait, are you like a bad person? Like, wait, I forgot. And then, so I think there was part of that. I was kind of pulling from situations like that, because I think that Coco's definitely been watching Yuri, Rillian, but being a shapeshifter, being a changeling, right?
Yeah.
Is that essentially what?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. There's like an inherent mistrust there, because they're different versions of themselves all the time.
Right.
So who's to say like that's their real form?
Right.
Just because they said it?
Right.
Didn't they say that last time? Like.
Right.
So.
No, that's true.
So I think there's a lot of mistrust. I think there's more trust now, because they talked about it.
Yeah.
They hadn't really had a chance to talk about it. They got to get into the Feywild stuff just a little bit. So I think that was good and helpful. And I think that I'm interested to see, when we revisit that relationship, how it can grow, and maybe they will be quite bonded. Who knows? Or maybe that mistrust will always be there, and there will be reasons divulged why that mistrust is there, and that mistrust will grow.
Right.
I don't know.
It is really. It is really hard to say. Like, you are kind of always with a character like Yuri, you are constantly always taking something just on trust. It was such a beautiful moment when Josephine sort of revealed Yuri to us, and it felt authentic and felt real. But you're absolutely right. Who's to say? Who's to say that was not just the idealized version of themselves that they just decided to show to us?
Yeah, it's almost like when you meet somebody and, like people who talk a lot about themselves. I'm not saying Josephine's character is a little bit like this, where it's like, oh yes, I'm a very kind person and I'm this and that, instead of just like being
proving
that
it,
and like proving it and like just being that. It's a little bit like that, where I'm a little bit like, oh, so this is your real self and you're this good person, but like, are you? Because we've seen this a few times now.
Well, has Yuri straight up said that they're a good person? I don't know that they've ever said that. But literally
they've talked about the trust within the group,
right.
That they want to be a part of the group,
right?
They want to trust them, or that they have almost really. I guess the way Josephine has played that character is really like they have no choice but to trust them.
Yeah.
At that point,
I think that sort of surprised us all in terms of like, because it's a tricky thing before, and I've been a part of tables where it hasn't worked as well, where you're introducing someone else midstream and you're kind of like, would we trust this? We're gonna go along because we want to play with you, but sort of asking yourself sometimes like, I don't know how I'd feel about this guy sometimes. And Josephine played it so well, and Yuri is so interesting, where it was like, no, our interests are definitely aligning for right now. But also, I have no idea where your interests start and end. Where, I have no idea how much of this is this 10% of you, or is it 90%? And the rest outside is going to be inconsequential to everything else that I've got going on? Or is there something else that you're not telling me going to destroy all of this? Is that kind of heavy?
Well,
that's kind of heavy, but does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And I think Coco was trying to also suss out, like, where did this person even come from?
Sure.
So like if they are from the Feywild, like how long have they been, like how did they leave there? What was the circumstance? How did they find themselves here sort of as a servant, sort of so
it really is it's so fascinating in so many ways. And going back specifically to Coco, I thought it was such an interesting thing where it is that kind of, when you meet someone like Coco who is just rushing headlong into friendship, like you said, literally just kind of looking for that and being so embracing, you almost always think it's because of naivete, right? Of like, well, they must just not have been burned enough or something like that. But I'm forgetting, there was a famous quote or a famous moment, I forget what it was from, but it's literally like, no, my optimism is a very clear, conscious choice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could be scarred and pushing everybody away and defensive all the time. And maybe there's part of that that's in here with me, but for the most part, my optimism is a clear, conscious choice for my own mental health. And I relate to that hardcore. Yeah. Idaho Judd says, sound like Jeff Kanata to me. That's true. Jeff, I know, can go down some rabbit holes into pretty dark territory, like we all have in the last few years. But literally, it's just kind of, choosing to focus on the goodness and the hope that you're going to meet other people and make good relationships. And that's been such a beautiful part of Coco. But finding out that it's not just that there is so much something else going on there has been really like some of my favorite stuff that we've done this campaign. I love it.
Thank you. I was so grateful to like have that moment. I wasn't sure I was going to take it because, Ron, for the viewers at home, like Ron was kind of giving us a like, are you guys good? Are you guys good? You want to move on? Yeah. And then I was like, shoot, it felt like the pacing wise that everybody had this moment. And I was like, well, I don't want to drag this on, but I also am like, well, we've never talked about some of this stuff, so I'm like,
and if
well,
not
when
now,
else am I gonna do this?
When we're just charging down the bottom part of the roller coaster again, or do we do it now? That is so true, and I've been that guy in those sessions so many times. I'm sure the audience knows too. I've been the guy at the end of sessions like, can I do one more thing? More thing? I've got to do it. And but I even really loved that beautiful little exchange that Otto and Coco had, that Otto was like, come out here, let me talk to you. I mean, it was both like a character point where they could connect, but then also like a resting point, like it was resting the game almost, because it wasn't all about heavy information grabbing. It's so true. It really is that, and you have to find that balance. I mean, we've talked about park and bark or whatever you want to call it, but it's literally like when there's so much going on and there's so much is being revealed to us as characters that's blowing our minds left and right. You do, like, specifically like in a show, in a game like this, you do have to process it with each other almost, and just sort of like, wait, so what do we even think about this? It's like, what are we, this is what I think I want to do, but does that make sense with you? And I like, it's so amazing. Kitty Scritches says, no, do not feel bad for that kind of scene. That is what we watch for. Kitty Scritches, you are 100% right, and we know it.
I love that about you guys, that you're so into that, because it's fascinating to me that people want to see that type of interaction versus just gameplay or battle.
No, it's so funny. We've discovered that over time. Literally, I mean, don't get me wrong, people do like, the high stakes battle and stuff like that, but really what this storytelling medium has over some of those things is that kind of time and patience and space where you can go really deep on stuff and surprise yourself and play, like if you're not sure if like a subtlety of something is try it, play it, like who knows. I'm all for, like, if you're feeling something, play it and let's see what's happening. Kitty Scritches, to be honest, battle is less interesting. I don't disagree. I mean, you need it every now and then to keep your stakes high. You really do. But in terms of like the cinematic moments and the moments that are really kind of bringing us back and drawing us in and getting us on the edges of our seats are these moments between the characters where we find ourselves relating to them and laughing or heartbroken or whatever with it. And you know, the really strange but adorable Otto Aurelian scene that happened too last episode where the three of us were cuddling on our side just watching them, because it was like, you know, it's those scenes that never happen in the way you expect, because now, like, Rhea is literally a different person. And what that does to their dynamic, and watching Josephine play that, like, I'm still me, even though I'm Rillian. And that's been...
Yeah, it is such a pleasure, like, getting to watch each other, and I think that's what made that first half of that last episode just so enjoyable and so, like, I don't know, unctuous is the right word. It was really just something that, like, you could sink your teeth into and just, like, enjoy watching, even as a fellow player. Like, these dynamics sort of get to play out in these small little bite-sized things of, like, everybody getting to connect. It was just really lovely.
It's also one of those things where you see why this kind of storytelling is so resonant with people figuring out their identity, whether it's queer or trans or just honestly young people, like, or people of any age figuring out who they are and, you know, trying things out in the world, because that really is one of those themes that I really love, which is just sort of like, no, what's, for lack of a better term, who's your soul, and the rest of you, your name, your, you know, how your hair looks, you know, like, who you are on the outside is not as important as who do you want to be, who do you want me to see you as. That was one of my favorite moments from campaign 1, was we had this really heartbreaking scene with Jared where he revealed after almost 40 episodes, you know, that he had been lying to us about who he was the whole time. And there was a shift for a moment of like, well, so I guess we're going to call you by your old name now. But then I was the one who went, no, what do you want to be called? You know, it was literally like, because whoever you want to be, that's who you'll be to us. And it was really one of my prouder, like, and one of our prouder storytelling moments as a table, which is just sort of like, and then we watched him consciously make the choice to become Civ Red Thistle again and become the guy that we'd known the whole time, not realizing he was hiding this older version of himself. It was heartbreaking, but really sweet and authentic, in so many ways. I love that. Yeah, no, Jared switches his accent back and forth better than anyone I've ever seen. Josephine's excellent at it as well. But when Jared would pull out the strange, like, he did it in the reunion when he brought out a French accent out of nowhere. You're like, what? Yes, incredible. Incroyable. But I love that. That's one of those themes, like found family, that always tends to come up with storytelling like this, and I really enjoy it. I love that. City Racing Girl has a question from our Patreon. Let's get into that. About, do we have any thoughts, one way or another, about how you want the converging voting done by the watchers to go? So the voting is closed. The voting is now closed. We have not announced. I don't think Ron has announced what won, though. So there was the Keep the City of Glass, but it also means Gonzalo remains dead in the City of Glass as the luminal governor, but the souls remain there, and it remains as a new afterlife, and the automatons remain there as well. Or, like, take away the City of Glass and basically right some of the wrongs or right some of the all aberrations that happen there and put them back out into the world. Thereby, Gonzalo would be alive again, but not have the memories of what happened in the City of Glass.
Can we recap what was going on with, I mean, I know Adam's not here, but like, sure, with Gonzalo and Cristobal?
I mean, there's some that you and I don't know. There's just, frankly, some. So we know that Gonzalo died, and that his death seemed
Yeah.
to have possibly something to do with the corruption. Because remember when we actually, you weren't there that episode, when we found his body in the City of Glass, it had marks of corruption on it, and Cristobal told us that had something. He was unclear how he died, but it had something to do with that, and was like, okay, but it was obviously that after he died, it had really, left a mark on Cristobal, as it would, but there was so much unresolved with that. And so Gonzalo had come to the City of Glass as this soul and had been made one of the governors by Lumbra. And now, the back and forth between Cristobal and Gonzalo last episode was so heartbreaking, but so, realizing that Cristobal's mother erased the memories of both Gonzalo and Cristobal whenever she left them. We assume Cristobal was quite young when it happened. That's right, we talked about that on the short rest after the last episode, where it was realizing that Gonzalo now had no memories of Cristobal's mother at all, and no memories of the birth of Cristobal and of the first few years of their lives together, presumably. So it was just like as if Gonzalo had woken up one morning and he has a son, no partner, doesn't know really where the son came from. And don't get me wrong, you suddenly have like if you have a heart within your body, like you still feel for that, but also it's like, oh my god, that explains so much.
But didn't Ron as Gonzalo give that information?
Yeah.
So wouldn't he actually remember the mom?
No. Only Cristobal found that out, and then Zozezaraz told Cristobal that.
Oh, it was Zozezaraz, sorry.
It was not Gonzalo, you're right though, it was Zozezaraz. And so Cristobal got to tell his father that, which was really heartbreaking in its own right.
Anytime Cristobal and his dad talk is just really fascinating to me.
Fascinating.
And it's really been lovely because it has happened, I don't know, a good handful of times now. So you really get to see a nice swath of like what it's like if you were to see your long lost father whom you love, but it's very complicated, and like you kind of don't, it's really interesting because it's kind of like not just a one-off.
It's kind of that different version of like the really like upper middle class waspy relationship where it's like, the father's never said I love you, but also he's not a bad dad, but it's just kind of like there is no intimacy there and no, I think I'm trying to remember what it was like, I think Bo Burnham had one of his songs on Inside where there was a joke in it that was like, "How you doing, Dad? I'm doing pretty good. Well, here's your mom," and that's the deepest talk my dad and I have ever had. Yeah.
Hashtag true life.
Hashtag true life, and it is. That they were like they were so involved in the court, and they were wizardly and very learned people. That like you could tell Gonzalo was not a cruel man, but
just limited.
And in so many ways, and some of it doesn't excuse all of it. Some of the explanations don't excuse all of it, but also like certainly gives you some insight about how someone would struggle with that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Kitty Scritches says Cristobal's arc has been staggering. I agree.
Yeah.
By the way, going back to Yuri, Rillian, Rhea for a moment, they are still as determined as ever to kill Baron Medulon, and we don't really know why, do we?
I would almost argue to say more determined.
Yeah,
than ever.
I mean, we talked about that after that episode, after not this past episode, but the one before, where it was Medulon escaped. And she was like, we gotta go. And it was kind of, I think when we knew we were eventually going to have to go someplace else after the City of Glass, we weren't expecting to have to follow Baron Medulon necessarily. Or it's like, well, I guess we'll go back and probably go to Otto's, but it was literally like, oh no, if the stakes are this high and Rhea is kind of like so hardcore, we need to stop him. He's the problem. Go, go, go.
Yeah, I think Coco at one point, I think I had a conversation with Rhea at some point, just wondering why they didn't like Baron Magellan so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And I think it was some kind of answer, like sort of like
Unclear.
Yeah, unclear. But it did seem to ramp up after the sky had parted, like after the portal had opened and we had seen.
Well, when it really
them
ramped up
over the
was
lake.
when she was in the oh gosh, what is it? She when she went when she cast Blink and she went onto the other plane where we couldn't see her, and she and Magellan were there together, and Magellan read her mind. And there was a mention.
Wait, was I there for that?
We were, but it was mid-battle, and there was a lot going on. Coco, our characters were not there, but we were there at the table when it happened.
Okay.
And Magellan said a name. And hey, Ron. Ron's in chat.
Wait, what did he say? What was the name?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Does anybody remember?
There was a name mentioned where Magellan said to Rhea, who is something, and it was just a simple name. And then Rhea, like, I mean, Josephine said, she's like, I would go for his throat if I heard him say that.
And it wasn't one of Rhea's characters' names?
No.
Okay.
I mean, well, we don't know that. It could have been. Didn't feel like it, though.
Okay.
It felt like someone who was close to them who she was protecting.
Interesting.
Which ties in with other things. It could be. Which ties into other things, because there was someone that Rhea asked Failshin about asking if they were still alive, if they were safe. And we never heard a name in that moment. Just kind of putting it together. I don't know. There's so much I don't know. So much I don't know. But, well, so City, I don't know if we really even answered City Racing Girl's questions. Do we have any thoughts one way or the other about the convergence voting done by the Watchers? It's real easy for me to say. I want the City of Glass to stay.
Me too.
Yeah. Because
it's our kind of most fruitful world that we've spent the most time in.
We've so oddly emotionally connected to it.
Yeah, and it seems like it still could be so fruitful, and there's still so much to explore or draw from there. Like, we do feel like oddly connected to it, like you said, sort of emotional about it.
Well, and I'm really sparing I can't bear to think of Cristobal going home, seeing his dad who's there and alive, but knowing he's had all these heartbreaking admissions to his father, and his father saying, you know, I don't know what you're talking. Like, having no memory of all of the progress of all of the progress that they had made as father and son. That would just get wiped away, and that would break your heart.
Although, I mean, Ron is who he is as a DM, so it's not like somehow the memories couldn't be wiped while we're in the City of Glass.
Very true. And if we find Cristobal's mother, I mean, maybe all those memories can come back anyway. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. But of course, as I said, Ron says, but he would still be alive. That's very true, and that's why I say it's very easy for me to say it's very easy for me to say I'm okay with your dad remaining dead.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's dark. So that's kind of our feeling. That's mine and Kari's feelings. But as I said, I leave it. I leave it to the Watchers, because I know that I have my own interests. I would like to see it go one way, but I don't know, and I will accept the judgment as it comes down. The last question.
That's what's so fun about having all the audience interaction and them getting to vote and things like that, because it's like, it also doesn't just fall on Ron to decide.
Right.
I mean, it's really, seeing what people want to see the most. So.
And they have more information than any of us, too. I mean, Ron has told them things, and then we have told them things in secret rooms that I don't know about.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Ron says, I think that's the motto for the last chapter. Geez, that's dark. Little bit. No, it's fine. Last question from our Patreon from Idaho Judd. Hey, Idaho Judd. What's been the biggest surprise in the story for you or any other character? Biggest surprise. Biggest surprise for Val. I mean, all of the connection to Zozezaraz is very surprising for him, obviously. But then also that Medulon is headed back to so close to where he's from, and now suddenly, and this might just be recency bias because it just happened for me, but they kind of like, oh, we're going home? Oh boy. And I think I even said it last episode where I was like, if you'd asked me like I've what I wanted, I would have said to go home for so long, and now we're about to go and I'm terrified. Yeah. Fascinating.
I don't know how to answer that for me.
Kitty Scritches says how old Coco is.
Yeah. Oh god.
That's a big one.
Good one. I mean, yeah, and I love that like Ron like just put that out there as like I'm just gonna tell you how old this is. It was like,
what?
Why
not? Why not?
I love it.
Actually,
I mean, because honestly, because Ron said it, part of me is like, well, that must mean something. It's not just like, you know what I mean? So right. I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Right. Which is so funny. I mean, yeah, but just going back to, early days Coco of like, I'm either 27 or I'm 115. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it's like, nope, you're much older than that. It's like, wow. The biggest surprise, though, for any character, I think, for me, clearly, the one that comes to mind where jaw on the floor was Cristobal and Baron Medulon are the same person.
Oh, sure. And
that one, I was like...
I wasn't there for that, was I? That reveal?
No, it all happened in the same episode. You were dead for that part, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wait,
was it?
No, it was... No, you were there. We were... Because it was in the cave with Failshin. That's when it happened. So I think it was either that same episode where you died, or it was just after that.
I literally feel like the last 3 episodes have been so
revelation after revelation. I totally agree.
Yeah,
that was the moment where that moment I will remember very clearly of like jaw on the table of like what. No. Yeah. That one killed me. And I said it at the time, but the realization that I knew that Val's story had something to do with this alternate timelines, different decisions made, and how it branches off. I knew from the start that Val's storyline had a little bit to do with that. I did not realize how big a part that was going to play in our overall campaign until that moment. And I went, oh no. Suddenly like, wait, that's the same guy? Oh no. Incredible. Yeah, Jules says Adam's face during that reveal. No way, man. And I was right next to him, just literally. I think I leaned back and was just like, what?
I do remember this. Yes.
Bonkers. Yeah. So that's all of our our Patreon questions for today, though. Yeah, but yeah. So we're coming back this week with the conclusion of the 1.5 shot, whatever we're calling it. With our lovable clan to find out how it connects. I mean, Ron, remind me. We were told at the start that Zozezaraz was a vision, as if like put on us by. Did we know clearly if it was Zozezaraz or where it came from? Maybe we don't know that. Ryan Winters has a question for us. We'll get to that in just a second. But in terms of where the vision came from, we don't know what the purpose of the vision is yet. Just that it's been strange and wacky so far. And we see this kind of the wild magic surges, and we know things are going wonky with the ley lines. We don't know where it's going yet, though, for sure.
We'll find out.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see how it connects.
I mean, every time we find out something else, I feel like we're left with like we get an answer to like one huge question and then like 10 more questions by the time we end.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that conversation, I think I had to rewatch that conversation with Zozezaraz that we had in the second half of that episode, one before last, because it was literally like, that was just 2 hours of mind-blowing revelations. I was like, what? It's just one after another almost, where it was just still trying to wrap your head around all of it. Or certain things where they were, wrapped in other things where it's like, wait, what? Yeah, there was a lot of that. Mr. Ryan Winters has a question for us. Favorite NPC so far? It's a tough one. There's been a lot of great fan art. This reminds me, there's been so much great fan art in the Discord lately. And I think it was Ghostbusters Quick Response Unit posted a drawing of Barley and Hops, the two Canoes guys who were adorable. Just posted that just the other day, I think. What's it? I'm just double checking that who drew it.
They were definitely two of my very favorite because it was really kind of the first time that we got to see Ron and Jared like do this like two-hander show almost, and we were just like, okay.
The brothers from Strange Brew or SCTV, those Canadian, those were adorable. Yeah,
it was so funny. That like I remember Serena and Adam and I were talking like we just want to pimp them out and have them like come out
more. It's so true. I mean, Gonzalo was really great.
I think Gost is probably
good call.
Probably my favorite. Yeah.
Which
just an emotional connection to Gost.
I mean, I've personally been through a big arc with Gost because Gost creeps me out. You know.
Yeah.
The first time Gost pulled one of those babies out of her chest or their chest. Are you thinking? No, Ball. Well, Ball is one of the saddest NPCs. That's for sure.
Maybe I'm thinking of Ball.
We haven't seen much. Ball hasn't actually said that much to us. He's just sort of been there. And there is this kind of, other automaton in Gonzalo's house who looks like Cristobal, and he calls him Ball, and it's like, ooh. But no, I think.
But maybe that's the one that's. I mean, obviously, Gost is extremely memorable. We've had the most interaction with Gost, but like, maybe it is Ball that I'm thinking of because of the mask.
Yeah. The taking Cristobal. Well, that sort of happened. That scene where it was first Cristobal and Gast giving Gast's mask to you, but then also needing to take the mask from Ball
that's
for
what
Cristobal
it
was really. No, there was I see why, because there was literally kind of a trading back and forth of it, but.
Yeah. All of those are so great. I wonder what other people's favorite NPCs are.
I know there've been a lot lately, and Medulon is so good as well. Though evil. I just can't wait to meet the vampire Leonin. Let us meet the sexy vampire lion boy. Let's meet that guy. No, I'm kidding. I'm not, but let's see where that goes. But yeah, okay, so we'll see you Wednesday night and we'll learn more about that. But yeah, lastly, just For the Queen last week was such a blast. I know we had a lot of fun. I thought it would be a good game for us to play together because it's very, as I said, like a rules light, improv heavy. We just create all this together. I was kind of like, everyone was kind of having to trust me for a little bit because I was like, don't worry, once we get this going, this game is made for us. Don't worry about it. But we had so much fun.
I think probably my favorite part of For the Queen was the unfolding of the characters, like when we had to introduce our own characters. Yes. And just like as person by person goes, it's like you see what the relationship to the Queen is or relationship to one another, and it was just so much fun.
It was so much fun. And then you brought in the Queen's therapist.
Yeah. Well, it also could have been like super boring for the people at the table and for the watchers, because it's like if people are just introducing their characters but they're not connected at all to each other, or really not like a necessity for the Queen.
Yeah.
It's not really that much fun, but I liked that each of us were painting things on and gifting each other things.
It got easier as we went. Like I took something from something Katie had said, and I was like, she called out the character of the head of the treasury named Syracuse, and I was like, beautiful. Got it.
Well, and I think that we sort of, I think that's why I when Jess said that you were the son of Sasha
Jr.
I was like, I know you're a girl or a girl, but I was like, definitely you're Sasha Jr.
Sasha Jr.
It was, but I think it's like I was laughing because I was like, oh, of course we make Adam go first because we're like, you're on your own, buddy. You have to come up with your own character.
Adam is so good at that, though.
Yeah,
literally
so good
just.
at it.
just starting from whole cloth. Give us a character, and he's like, all right.
We're like, please weave us something.
Please make a big decision that's easy for the rest of us to go with.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Omar is the bard. Tristan the bard with the trysts was.
Well, and I loved how honest he was, just as a player, just as a person, just being like, I really hate this accent, or like, I can't hold on to this accent. I hate this, and I'm gonna change it. We're like, great. It.
Who's stopping you, buddy? Let's go.
But I love that because, like, you're streaming live, and there is sometimes this pressure to like really make this strong, bold choice that can never change. But it's like, no, even within this one shot, you can still change stuff as you go and make mistakes.
Yeah, no, so if you're being too hard on yourself, especially in a game like that, no way. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've all done that. I've made voice choices at the start of like campaigns and gone like, oh god, I can't hold that up. That's tough. Yeah. I mean, I think Val originally I was originally going to make Val a bit more like Ray Winstone, and I played with that a little bit, and I was like, oh god, that's going to be really hard on me.
You're like, I don't want to develop notes.
Let's not kill my voice. Yeah. And so I eventually kind of, he's gruffer, that he's still on the gruffer side, but he's still kind of got that. I lightened him up considerably. Yeah. Not a crit fail says, I love Omar so much. So do we. We love Omar. I hope to have him back soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, you guys.
I know. Thank you all. That's going to be our show for today. Have a lovely rest of your Monday. We will see you Wednesday. Be on the lookout for more announcements for The Broken Ring, our upcoming Feywild mini campaign with Rachel Seeley. And as we announced on last Wednesday, joining the cast, Jessica Lynn Parsons, your favorite, my favorite, all our favorites, coming back. She's going to be amazing, and we've got more people going to be announced there soon, so be on the lookout for that. We're really excited. Love you guys. So good to see you all. Love you, Kari.
Love you, Morgan.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
I love you, Taylor Swift.
I love you, Taylor Swift. And we all love you, Taylor Swift. We'll talk to you soon, friends. We'll see you on Wednesday. Until then, humankind, be bold.
Be bold. Yeah.
Bye. Nope. Hang on. I gotta. There. Where is it? Bye. There we go. Bye.